Hey guys, this is Lee with Lord's Chimney, and I'm on today to talk about something that's going to happen Monday. This was an impromptu event, and I had access to International Man of Mystery, Jerry Isenhour. He's also a fireplace expert nationwide. He's the go-to guy for everybody in our industry. How you doing today, Jerry?
Doing great, Lee. Appreciate being on with you today. Let's see if we can share some wisdom to help people through this. What you're telling me is going to be really drastically cold in Houston come Monday.
Absolutely. Jerry, you probably don't 100% know this, but it doesn't get cold here. That is extremely, there's citrus trees everywhere. So when we hear we're going to not be above freezing for 24 hours, the world's about to end. And I don't know if that happens everywhere, but that's the way it is here. People don't go out. The world's going to end. And today we were going to try to see if we can add some information to people and answer some questions on what to do with your fireplace when it gets cold. So, Jerry, what do you think? What should a person who doesn't use their fireplace much, it suddenly gets cold, what is the SOP? What do we do? How do we not have problems?
Okay, so Lee, we're going to base this on people that are using wood in their fireplace or gas, or what are we looking at here? Let's drill it into what we're talking about.
Let's start with wood. We have tons of gas, but let's start with wood.
Okay, so in wood burning, the first thing is fireplaces work properly when the smoke goes out. And the last thing you want to do is start up a fireplace where the smoke is coming back in your eyes. You know, there was an old song years ago, "Smoke Gets in My Eyes." But one of the things in the chimney and venting industry that we want to make sure of is our customers don't get smoke in their eyes. And a lot of people don't really know how to start a fire. So let's take them through that process. The first thing is there's a little door in the top of most fireplaces that we call the damper. Now, some people may call that the dampener. They may call it the flue. They may call it the flute or whatever. But the first thing I want you to do is look up inside that fireplace and make sure that door is completely open. That would be the first thing to be doing. Lee, would you add anything else to that first thing? Because I got other stats behind this.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. If that is not open, everything doesn't work. There's nothing else you can do to make it work. And in my experience, if it's not open and you light a fire, it's often difficult to open it after the fire begins.
It's next to impossible because you got a face full of smoke, you got fire going, it's a real problem. Now, if your damper doesn't open, you got a problem. Don't have a fire. I'm telling you, don't do it because you're going to have problems. Now, a lot of people also want to close the damper down some. They think that's going to give them more heat. But the problem is when you close that damper down, it's just like closing the door and trying to fit through it. All that smoke's not going up. So the first thing is we want to make sure that our damper is completely open. Now, the next consideration is many chimneys do not draw properly. And if you just try to start a fire by lighting up your kindling in the bottom in the fireplace, chances are your chimney is pulling cold air down, mixing that. And again, you're going to have a face full of smoke and it's not going to be a pleasant experience. So when we're teaching chimney sweeps, the process we teach them to do when you're starting a fire is to roll up some newspaper and make a newspaper torch. And I'm going to light that torch and I'm going to put it up towards the damper and into the damper up high. So what it's doing, it's heating up the interior of the chimney system because it requires this heat for the chimney to start initially. Now, sometimes we simply don't have enough air in the house. So if you're starting this fireplace up, sometimes you're going to need to open an outside door or an outside window to get the fireplace started initially. Does this make sense, Lee?
Absolutely. Yeah. What I always tell customers, if you open up the damper and get a face full of cold air, probably not a good idea to light a fire until you don't.
That's correct. And one of the things that I would teach someone is when you walk over to your fireplace, even right now, and hold your hand in your fireplace. If you feel cold air hitting your hand in that fireplace, that means you got cold air coming down. And if you start that fire in the bottom of the fireplace, what's going to happen is the air's coming down, it gets that smoke, and it pushes all that smoke directly into the home. And again, we got smoke in our eyes, and that is not a pleasant feeling. It can stink your house up pretty bad, so we don't want to go there, okay? So anything else that you can think of to warm up that chimney? Let me ask you this. Do a lot of people have gas log lighters there in Houston?
Yeah, it's very, very common.
Okay, so let's take that you got a gas log lighter. You should still follow this same process to start your fire. And what you want to do then is the reason you've got the gas log lighter is that is your kindling. So you can turn that gas burner on to get the wood burning that's in the fireplace. Okay, so that's how you do it with a gas log lighter. Now, even with gas logs, sometimes you can start up the fireplace, and if the chimney is not warm, then those gas logs can also create soot coming back into your home. Now, you don't really want to use a newspaper torch, but if you feel that cold air coming down, some of the things you can do is get a hair dryer or a heat gun and make heat with that and blow it up through the chimney. Again, for the chimney to work right, we've got to heat up that chimney. That chimney, when it's cold, is not going to draft properly. Now, what you really need to look at is, if you haven't had your chimney checked or maintained in the past, you really, that's what we're talking about now. If half the people in Houston called you today, Lee, and said, I need you out here to check my fireplace out for Monday, what would you be telling them?
Yeah, there's no human way that we can get educated people out that fast.
No, it's not. It's just like yesterday. I had to go, and I had to go have a blood sample taken for some medical things. Well, I went to the blood checking place at the hospital, the lab, and I had to wait 2 hours because they didn't have enough people to take care of the people that were coming in. And that's one of the problems in this industry is we don't have enough people to cut out to everybody's house before Monday when this comes in. Because what I'm understanding, you're predicting freezing rain, which is going to result in ice on roads. Would that be correct?
Correct. Plus, everything's wet to start off with, Jerry, which does not work well with freezing temperatures.
It doesn't work well with anything. Everything's wet because even though I live north of you, Lee, so people know I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, does it get colder here? Yes. But at the same time, where I live, if they're predicting these type of things, it's going to shut us down too. People are not going to be able to get out on the roads because this is a hard thing. I don't think anybody in Houston probably has steel studs in their tires. With snow tires with steel studs, would you commonly find them in Houston, Texas?
What's a snow tire?
There you go. See, that's what I'm talking about. See, snow tires are the tires that people use up north in the wintertime, and you got little holes in those tires. So what you do when there's ice areas is they put steel studs that are like cleats that help grip the ice to get around. But you're not going to find those in Houston. So more than likely, what we got to tell everybody is get your survival stuff together. Get blankets, get other things, because if ice storms hit you like they hit us, commonly power goes out. Is that a fear there, Lee?
It can. It just doesn't happen. It happens so rarely that we don't even know what happens.
You don't even know what happens, and that's a good thing. So it doesn't happen that often. That's one of the reasons people live in the Sun Belt, because your climate is very similar to what I've heard is found in Miami, Florida. Would that be correct?
Yeah, maybe a little bit colder, but yeah, and the same idea.
Okay, so what you also want to do is learn how to properly build a bed to start your fire. Now, one of the things in a fireplace that really helps out if you want to create a fire that's going to give you more heat and burn cleaner is what's called a top-down burn. Now, this sounds kind of backwards, but what you're going to do in a top-down burn is the first thing is you put a layer of wood in your fireplace, which is large logs. And then you put another layer of smaller logs and make a stack of wood coming down to put the kindling on top of the fire, on top of that bed of wood. Now, what does this do? You then light the kindling at the top and the fire burns down. It's called a top-down burn. And you can probably find a link, Lee, that you could add into this in your Facebook page for people to understand, or even a YouTube link showing how to do this. But doing a top-down burn gives you a fire that can give you a lot more heat. It can also be a much cleaner start. So research doing a top-down fire. Like I said, I know you guys in Houston, y'all don't use fireplaces. I know there's not a lot of wood stoves down there either, is there, Lee?
Zero. But Jerry, I have a customer that I introduced that top-down fire to, and they're in Clear Lake, so he may be listening now.
Okay.
The grate's gone. I mean, he's in love. It took him from a fireplace which didn't work at all, and his wife wouldn't let him use. We did some minor repairs to it. We made sure everything was gas tight. He uses that, and now no complaints. Wife's in love with it.
Right. And see, the other thing is your fuel. If your wood's not dry, and your wood should be less than a 20% moisture content. And one of the ways to check if the wood is properly seasoned is you clang two pieces of wood together and listen to what they sound like. If they have a really dull thud, that means there's really got a lot of water into there. So if one of the things to do is get your wood, get it where it can be dry when you put it in the fireplace. Because getting wet wood to burn in your fireplace, that can be a really challenge for a consumer, Lee. And that, again, the whole thing we want to do is we want to have the fireplace working safely. And if the fireplace is spilling smoke into your home, that is poisonous. That is carbon monoxide. It is a hazardous thing. It can cause a lot of health risk to you. Okay. So example, I know I don't look old enough, but I recently had a heart attack. So smelling smoke would not be something that would be good for my health at all. And it's not good for anybody's health, including your kids or whatever. So as you go into this extreme, it's cold period, you're getting ready to go into that you're not ready for. I know down in Houston, I see you guys wearing jackets and coats when it gets 60. So if this is going to be as cold as you're talking about, down to 30s, this may be temperatures that nobody ever has seen. Did you tell me that down in San Antonio, they're talking to getting close to zero?
It's supposed to get like record-setting cold, like since 1800s in a lot of Texas.
Really? So this is going to really, that's what you would call up north. If you lived up north, that's what they would call a nor'easter that comes in from the northeastern direction. And it's also what you get off the Great Lakes when the weather comes off the Great Lakes. It's really moisture laden. They get what's called lake effect snow up there. So it sounds like you guys are going to be in for a really good time, Lee. I mean, it's going to be interesting for you. It sounds really good.
Yeah, and I mean, this is perfect fireplace weather. We don't get it much, so hey, use it. One thing I would encourage too, and we talked about gas logs some, but make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector. Make sure the batteries are right. Make sure it has power, because with a lot of gas logs, you don't get as much smoke. You'll get more carbon monoxide. And if you have not had it inspected, it's important to make sure that you take care of yourself and you eliminate that as a possibility.
So the last thing I would tell people, hey, don't wait till this kind of weather comes in the future. You need to have that thing ready to go. Because like I said, if everybody in Houston decided to call Lord's Chimney today, I don't think you could service all those people, Lee. I just don't think it's possible.
Yeah, give me a year or two. I could get to them.
There you go.
Okay. Well, thanks, Jerry. I appreciate you coming on. I know it was an impromptu thing, and I asked him a favor, and he was able to come on. And it's nice to be able to get that kind of knowledge because in Houston, we don't have it. It's me and a few other people, and that's about it. So I appreciate it, Jerry. Thanks for coming on today.
Hey, man, I appreciate the opportunity. And like I said, if Lee can help you here in the future, be sure and reach out. I think I'm seeing lordschimney.com scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now.
Sure. Yeah. And if you like content and if you want to hear more stuff like this, like our Facebook page, follow us on YouTube, follow our channel, get all the updates. That way you get all the information and share it with your friends. Let's get this out to everybody so we can help as many people as possible. Thanks, Jerry.